our assessment of particularly U.S. economy is that it's still fairly robust. There are parts of the economy that are really struggling, but overall, on average, we're still seeing enough strength. We're seeing enough. That's fueling inflation, right? So that makes it very, very difficult for central banks to start cutting cycle. And even though market is somewhat relaxed by this idea that, okay, we'll delay cuts, they're still coming, they come a bit later. I think they have real economic costs because companies are finding it's much harder and much more expensive to refinance their debt. Consumers are struggling to find any debt. The only consumer borrowing that is increasing in US is actually on credit cards at 20% interest rates. Capex is slowing, uncertainty is rising. So delaying cuts has real economic impact. So even though for now we're kind of staying on kind of level path, not cutting interest rates create economic problems down the line. So no lending and then crash. I think that's quite likely economic outlook in our opinion.
Quite a bleak outlook for an economy that is doing so well, and obviously we're going to be led elsewhere by the United States. I hear what you're saying about the debt situation and the cost of finance for a lot of people. But when I look at the average wages, I look at employment cost index, I look at average increases year on year in salaries and what have you, actually people are offsetting that increase in financing costs with increased salaries, aren't they, Marija?
Yes, and I think that as I was saying, that is a real challenge. But I mean, we increasingly begin to hear about things breaking down. So, like, think about corporate earnings, and I think that's like a really good case in point. So, if you think about consumer companies that reported, think of Starbucks, McDonald's, even Amazon's of this world. The retail side is really struggling. Consumers are really pinching pennies, and that's making it difficult. I mean, Amazon, I find it really fascinating example is like real microcosm of what's happening in economy and the stock market. The retail side of Amazon actually didn't do that well. It's the tech side that done fantastically well, and that's your two-tier stock market where tech is doing well, everything else not so well in terms of earnings, or real economy where parts of the economy are doing fantastically well, like the things you cited, like wages are still okay, labor market is still fine, and other parts are like smaller firms hiring, or you look at like industrial production, things like that, they're beginning to struggle. So I think there is this two-tier economy is really problematic and huge problem for Chairman Powell and the rest of his colleagues.